Welcome back to the Alpha Strike, guys. We are doing our Uncommons review for the X-Men Xavier School. Um, just a quick recap if you didn't catch the Commons review. We're going at this from three different perspectives. We have George. They can't see you, George.
I know.
It's all audio.
Sorry. They
Uh,
might.
So any commentary from him or his ratings on the cards are going to be in a green color. We call it the neon green noob. I, Mikeneto, will be handling your casual scene for the cool blue casual, and then we have Magma Red Meta from Pedro the Man.
Hello, guys.
All right, and we're just going to kick this off. Please, as you're watching, comment below. Let us know how this format's working for you. If it's working for you, if it's not working for you, we're just trying something new, and we're just going to lean into these cards and get rolling because we've got a lot to do tonight.
Yep.
All right, George starts off.
All right. Number 17, Beast. Another handstand one. We saw one in the last video. Real name, Hank McCoy. Trait, we haven't done this one for this video. X-Men, first class. If this character makes the first attack during a turn and hits for the characters, excuse me on that one, turn and hits, for any characters with the X-Men keyword, modify attack +1 this turn. So don't hit your friendlies. You won't get a +1.
Punctuation is important.
Yes, it is. His attack ability is Bouncing Beast. Quake. Period. Look, some punctuation. When Beast uses it, either modify attack +1 or increase damage dealt by +1. He's got charge first 2 clicks, leap climb. He's got the special attack first 3 clicks, toughness first 3, combat reflexes last 2, perplex mid dial with empower last 2. New guy standpoint, if you're playing him with the other characters with the X-Men team ability, 50 points. I'm going to see this one probably a 6, because it goes up there with the Cyclops and Jean Grey. Just kind of makes sense to play it.
So all new X-Men keywords. From a casual standpoint, the all new X-Men keyword pool is going to be smaller, but your X-Men is going to be significantly larger. The X-Men first class, given the fact that if he goes first, you modify attack. That's huge, especially with these lower attack values we've been seeing in this set. And then I absolutely love this Quake that he's got. Being able to charge and either increase your attack by 1 or increase the damage dealt. That means I'm doing a 3 damage Quake to everybody because it's the damage dealt. I'm not modifying the damage. I'm increasing the damage dealt. So that's huge. Being able to go 5 squares with 10 attack and just drop a 3 damage Quake on your whole team. Or if I'm single targeting, why not just make it a 11 and 3 because it's single target Quake. I think this guy in casual should see play for 50 points. If you're not running him, you're doing something wrong. I'm just going to put it out there. I give this guy an 8.
Okay, it's shenanigans time. For Sealed, I don't like him very much for Sealed. I think he's very well costed. 50 points for everything he does. It's amazing. But this is a set that has some heavy range guys. Who's gonna take pot shot at him until he comes. He doesn't have the willpower to keep coming, so you need an amazing carry, which you're not gonna see plenty. So again, you're trying to plan for a team that you don't know if you're gonna pull out in Sealed. So I think it's gonna be a 4 in Sealed. Having said that, he has an ID card that gives combat reflexes. So although it has a very specific use, let's remind and shout out to Mr. Collins, which loves her. You can have an overdrive carry Samantha Wilson all the way through the other side of the map. She'll have the right to call someone in, which could be him. She'll have Perplex to make his attack an 11. It's going to be the first attack of the round, which can go to a 12. And you're quaking everybody for 3 very easily in the first or second round, depending on who started to, because of first round immunity. So it could be a very cheap 3 damage bomb into a team, and everybody else will be close up to the opponent's team will have combat reflexes to finish there. Even a Shredder's team, but then if in the Shredders, if you combine the Shredders Captain Wilson, and we've seen it happen, you can then sidestep with the Shredders and finish giving more people more damage, or you can start with the damage to take them off the first click. You can combine all kind of shenanigans for 50 points. I know it's a one trick pony, but it's a very fair trick pony for an uncommon. You can get a lot of it, and if having said that, I don't see him in scene table as a main guy, as a real boy. Perplex is good and empowers as well, so he's very useful through his life. But his main trick is on the first click, and nobody's going to leave him on the table. And it's not very complicated to deal him four or five penetrating damage, or outwitting his toughness and sending him home on a constructed scenario. So he's a decent call-in. He can do some shenanigans if you have a team that allows for it. It's very specific, but if in the right timing, can be the difference between the alpha strike or not. So, 4 for sealed, but in this particular scenario, a good 7 or 8 call in.
All right. Up next, Iceman, all new X Men, Bobby Drake, number 18. Trait, X Men First Class. If this character makes the first attack and hits, friendly characters with the X Men keyword modify defense by +1 until your next turn. Now, as same with Beast, it only affects people with the X Men keyword, so keep that in mind when you're constructing. This will raise up their defense if he's first to go. And then his special attack power for his first 3 clicks, Incapacitate. When Iceman uses it, either modify attack by +1, or after resolutions, the target gains immobile until your next turn, which means it can't be moved or placed. This is a very interesting lockdown piece. Starts with running shot. He only has 1 bolt, so he can only shoot 1 person, but if you were to inspire a storm and shoot 3 people and choose to make them immobile, there could be some hefty shenanigans there. Toughness goes into sidestep, enhancement to back up anybody who runs out to join him. Barrier, 50 points, X-Men team ability, 5 range. Hit it, George.
Well, for the Glatt says immobile, and it kind of specifies what immobile from a news player standpoint, because I've never heard that. I've heard the term immobile, but I've never seen it printed on a card. So for me, that would have put me at like a 4 going, wait, what? But other than that, it's got good stats. But, for a new player, I'd probably say 4.
All right, casual side. Again, that small pool for all new X-Men or X-Men. I mean, you could run a lot of Icemen or Jean Greys or whatever with this. The fact that Incap is just not really sought after unless you have multiple bolts, and even then, 3 bolts with Incap can be helpful, but it's really niche. I would have liked to see this guy with 3 bolts with that immobile option. That could really do some damage. And then boosting defense, he's more of a second turn attacker. So your first turn, you have somebody boost attack or damage. Second turn, you get the defense while you're waiting to clear. I'm just going to give him a midline 5. He's got his uses, but overall, I think there's better Icemen.
For the sake of shortness, I would just completely agree with you. Neutral and sealed, it's a 5. It can help, it cannot. There's one thing that I don't like him in constructed. I think he's a kind of dichotomy because, yes, his incapacitate is great, but it's one of the few pieces at this low point that does 3 damage on first click. So you are denying one of the cool things about him, which is doing 3 damage there, which is kind of rare. So you're already either or. And for the ID cards, it's great, like you said. If you put it on a team to call in Storm and have this work, great. But then, it's a setup of a setup requires a lot of finesse. Many things can go wrong there. He doesn't have willpower, so I wouldn't go there particularly. And secondly, Immobile is great, but if you're going to use him on a call-in to set up, I particularly, what I say is not the gospel, but I don't like to use ID cards for setup. I like to use ID cards for resolution. I set up with my team, I kill them with the ID card. But that's just me. So again, it's a cool power, it's a useful power, but in this particular figure, it makes it hard because on your team, he's not worth to be there. As a calling card, you want calling cards to solve the problem, not to set up the problem. Okay, so that's me with Mr. Scott Summers, Cyclops Uncommon. He's number 19. He has 60 points, 6 clicks. He has the X Factor keyword, and he has improved targeting. He ignores hindering terrain, always useful. And he has the trait X Factor that when he hits with an attack, you modify the damage by +1 for each 5. Here's funny, for each 5 in the attack roll. So it's not when you roll a single 5. This one is if you roll 10s, it's +2, right? Damage by
Right.
+2 if you roll 10. Plus the knockback, So if you're lucky, you can get an 11 penetrating psychic blast, 5 damage knockback hits.
Oh.
Hard and odd, but still very cool. So I think he's gonna be very good in sealed. Oops, pineapple. Yes, we got it.
For those who
But
watched the first
I think it's gonna be
video,
very good in sealed. But first, we're gonna hear from George.
for those who watched the first video, know that pineapple is the safe word for our magma meta. If you like,
Exactly.
just go for it, just roll with
Gatling
it.
gunning the show.
But for new player, I'm going to shoot high for this one because when you look at the back of the card, the powers are simple. You understand it. I'm going to shoot for the stars and go with an 8 for Cyclops.
Woo,
Right off the
for
bat.
old Sykes.
Stealth Buster on that with the improved targeting? Yeah, I'm going to go 8.
All right. Well, from the casual side, X Factor keywords, there's going to be a lot of good ones in the set, and you can build good stuff with it. I would have still loved to seen X-Men on this guy. Stealth Bust, you cannot go wrong here. For 60 points, there's so often I'm just like, man, I need something to Stealth Bust. I need a good Ranger.
Eat it, Batman.
This guy is where it's at. I would have liked to see him start with that's debatable. I like to see Sidestep Range Combat Expert, which he has the entire last half of his dial, but you need those egg crackers up top with the Pensai. So, I mean, with the leadership combined, man, I got to give this guy a 9.
If you think about it, he has like 9 range. I mean, he's got 7. That sidestep gives him that.
Yeah. And 9 range. Wow.
Yeah.
For 60 points with Stealth Bust, yeah. Did I say 9? I meant to say 9.
Yeah.
And then he gets a 9.
Yep. Well, I cannot disagree. I think he's really strong. I think he's gonna be great in sealed. 60 points for everything he does, and the chance of getting 4 or 5 damage. He's great. He's a stupid good and strong turret in the first 2 clicks, and a pretty decent one afterwards. The willpower helps a lot. And again, 7 range. Have we ever mentioned 7 range so far? I don't think we will much
No,
either
not
going
in so
forward.
far.
Yeah, so sidestep all the time, great combination, can try to work around bears, can see every team coming. He's the reason why the Beast Uncommon we just discussed will probably die trying to reach him. So I like him very much. This, energy shield defense, all his powers are in synchrony. Sidestep, energy shield deflection, and range combat expert are meant to be together. It's a great combination of colors to see in a dial. So I like him very much. I think it's going to be a 7. I would even dare say 8 in sealed. And this is a very cheap, viable, and one of very decent option for a call-in. Cyclops also gives force blast, which might be helpful for your team to blow people away if they're stuck, and then he shoots them down easily. For 60 points, you're gonna see better call-ins in Cyclops for sure, but this one is pretty decent, and you still get to roll leadership the following. You get an extra action when he comes, and you roll for the leadership the next round before he goes, if I recall correctly. So I like him. I like him very much. 8 in sealed and a very solid 7 for a call in constructed.
So I don't actually think you get the extra action on the turn that he comes in, because it doesn't say at the beginning of your turn you roll, and then also for every person who has leadership during the beginning of your turn, because if you lose leadership mid-turn
Let me check.
on your 4th action, wouldn't it?
Let me
Anyway,
check.
splicing
Yeah,
rules.
Yeah,
While you look into that, we'll have George carry
Yeah,
on
of
with the
course.
next.
by all means.
All right, number 20, Jean Grey. X Factor keyword. Real name, Jean Grey. We already gone through the X Factor team ability. She gets sidestep, first 3 clicks. Last 3, nothing for movement. First 3, telekinesis, mid-dial, nothing. Last click with that pulse wave. That could be entertaining. First 2 clicks, we got super senses. Last half of dial, she's got energy shield deflections, 17s, 18s. First half dial, she gets leadership. Last half, she gets perplexes. New player standpoint, That perplex leadership can always come in handy. I'm gonna give this one. Probably about a 7.
All right. 7 from
And
the new
Magneto,
guy.
very quickly, you're right. So he gets both benefits at the beginning of the next turn. You check for the extra action and the roll at the beginning of your turn.
I'm well, I was really sure about that because I've been looking at a lot of ID cards and I've been questioning how effective leadership could be for that.
Yeah.
With this Jean Grey, again, X Factor limited keyword. I would have liked to see X-Men on these guys just to fan them out some more. The X Factor on her, let's see, modify damage. Using her TK, you're not going to get to modify your object damage, and you have to decide that before you roll. So I don't see her X Factor really coming into play until all your objects are gone. That being said, Sidestep TK for 60 points could be a really great addition to your team, but we're fighting 50-point Jean Grey and 40-point Hellion for better TK options. She does have leadership, helps flesh out your team, so you've got at least 4 actions. 6 range. I'm questioning this Death Scream Pulse Wave here. I don't see her landing on it and being particularly effective, to be honest. But so for this Jean Grey, just because we have better Jean Greys overall and she's limited to X Factor, I'm going to have to be harsh and give her a 4.
Yep, I echo everything you said. It's a great thing to see. You see, all sidestep, TK, leadership, perplex, pulse wave, super sensitive go into energy shield deflection. The 2 clicks when she has low attack, he has perplex. Everything seems to work. But then you look, no willpower, 60 points. So it's kind of almost great for everything, but not super cool in anything. So, and then if you start to break it down, she's not going to be a pulse wave source because it's absolutely unreliable. You have cheaper and more effective TK. We discussed a few cases already. Leadership is always good, but you can get it for 25. So you can get Helion and the 25 leadership Moira for 65, and you're doing better off, and you still get the perplex and extra stuff, to boot. So in Seal, it's okay because in Seal, although it's 60 points, you can get a lot out of her, moving your team around. 10 for 2 is not an awful attack. Leadership helps. Perplex will also help down the road, and it's maybe you have a bigger chance to land her last click in a Seal than you will in Constructed. But maybe again for the flexibility of 5 to 6 in Sealed and Constructed, great guys. You almost got it, but not seeing table at all. A 1.
All right, number 21, Cypher. Excalibur, Hellions, New Mutants, Robots. It's the first time we've seen Robot in the set.
Wow.
Real name,
Yep.
Doug Ramsey. First trait, Cypher/Douglock. If Cypher is 35 points, he's KO'd when his dial clicks past the red KO line. Second trait, New Mutants. At the beginning of your turn, if this character is adjacent to a friendly character with the New Mutants keyword, you may heal this character 1 click. If you do, friendly characters can't make attacks this turn. Defensive power, remembering his sacrifice. Stop. Invincible. Cypher can't be healed above this clip for the rest of the game. I wonder if he's remembering Thunderbird's sacrifice.
Is that the bird that hit the plane?
Oh, okay. Anyway, big time flashback. You guys can go back and watch the Uncanny X-Men videos. I made a lot of jokes about Thunderbird.
Yep.
And then his special damage power, everything comes down to language. Adjacent friendly characters and friendly characters within 3 squares with the New Mutants keyword have protected outwits. And that's all in caps, so they can't be targeted with outwit, period, from that. So at 35 points, he only has the 2 clicks. He starts with sidestep, ESD, or that's all he has, and then the special, everything comes down to language power. For 35 points, you're giving everybody within 3 essentially power cosmic. I mean, that's what people usually use power cosmic for, so that they can't be outwitted. But it's protected outwit, not power cosmic. And then if you play him to 70 points, he cranks up to a 10 attack, 3 damage, shape change, plasticity with impervious, uh, and poison, then his values just keep going up. It goes to 11 and then 12 on attack, 9 and 10 on movement, 18, 19 on defense, 3, 3, 4 with close combat expert on his last click. I almost feel like they misplaced the stop and they needed to have it at the very end just to like super increase his value. But he does have impervious and
Invincible.
invincible.
Right? It stops invincible. It's
If
even
you
better.
were if you were running him next to another Cypher, even at 35 points, to make it so he had protected outwit, oh my goodness, insane.
Yep.
George?
Well, looking at this just right off the bat, all I see is half the card is just words. And those of us who don't mind lots of words, it's like, okay, cool. I'd have a reading material. Now, new player, great values and everything, but I'm giving it a 4 just because it's so wordy on half the card. But, that looks like it could be a solid figure, but for new player, I'd give it a 4.
For your casual, great keywords. He's gonna flesh out into a lot of things. Excalibur, Hellions, New Mutants Robot offers protected outwit within 3 squares for just 35 points. That's amazing. But he's gonna be a one-hit wonder at that point. Professor Erks did express a little bit of frustration that when he played in Sealed, some people actually knew how Cypher worked, and he was playing him at 70 points, so they just didn't shoot him. So he was worthless. Absolutely worthless. Other than protected outwit, which there wasn't a lot of. For the casual scene overall, I could see somebody using him to make him work, and that protected outwit's a thing. So I'm going to give him a 6.
I do like that last click, though.
Pedro?
Well, you already touched on many of the points I like to address. He can be extremely annoyed in Sealed. Sealed is going to be hit or miss. If you have new mutants to make his protected outwit annoying to the point that people will actually have to go after him, then it's definitely a 9. Because he's gonna, it's the lesser of two evils. Either they deal with him and get away with the protected outwit, or we're gonna have strong pieces, and we're gonna see that some of the new mutants are really strong in defense, and that protection is gonna make a big deal. It's gonna get them scratching their heads to what to go for. Or poor Urks suffer the other end of the miss, which is if the protected outwit doesn't bother you, then just leave him there. It's 0 attack and 0 damage. By definition, it's a null. 70 points wasted right there. So it's unless of course you can try to push him and move him and self click into the stop click, but then again you're forcing yourself and you're going to be double token when you get there, and your opponent now only have to deal 5 damage to you, or outwit you, because at the time the protected outwit won't work on you any longer unless you have another Cypher, and you're going to be dead. So it's complicated. It's very hit or miss. If you can make it hit in Sealed, it's a 9, otherwise it's a 1. For constructed, unfortunately for the moment, especially given the rotation hasn't happened yet, you don't have the perfect scenario of new mutants to make a super team to make it worth it. You have a couple pieces that can heavily benefit from him, but again, 70 points with people who know how to play the game, who can bring him closer to the stop click and just green arrow him away. Unfortunately, not gonna see table. Amazingly fun if you hit it on the Sealed table, but other than that, could be a big miss. So I would say a 9 situational on Sealed, and 2 for the moment in. Okay, so after Cypher we have Karma, number 22. She has the mystical and new mutant keywords. She's Xian Koi Man. 6 range, 3 bolts, mind control all the way. 10 attack, only 9 on the end click. No defense powers except for the last 2 clicks with combat reflexes, but shape change all through her dial. 40 points. She has a trait of the new mutants that if you're adjacent to another friendly character, there's a new mutant, you may heal this character 1 click, but then friendly characters cannot make attacks this turn. which, if I recall correctly, you cannot do mind control either because then your guys become friendly and it's an attack, so it's not going to work. So if you use the trait, you're not doing much. George, what do you think?
Um, you know, for new character standpoint, I almost have to give it a 5 because I can't quite say which way would be good for it. I mean, the 3 bolts, mind control is good, but yeah, for a new player, I'm going to have to just give it a 5.
All right. From a casual standpoint, mythical keyword is always great to build with. New mutants, we're starting to see a lot of them in the set, reviewing them. You know, I'm a big fan of mind control, especially 3 bolts. It's just turning your opponent's team into your team, and then shape change. You know, if you hit that 6, she's gonna live forever. For 40 points, I'm gonna give her a solid 6.
Isn't this the first mystical keyword we've seen so far in this set, or was it one earlier?
No, I think this is the first one we've seen in the set.
Yeah, if you enjoy shenanigans, you can get Raven to teleport her, and she can then do the
Oh,
the mind control. It's fun.
Jeez,
Like you said,
Pedro, you with the shenanigans.
well, that's what
God,
that's why you pay me the
that's
big bucks,
insane.
right?
that is, yeah, he thinks he's paid.
Well, so I mean, it's fun. Mike Nito said it's situational. You can 10 attack on a mind control with 3 bolts. It's not something to ignore because you can do a lot of damage to your team. 40 points for the shape chain, and that is really cool. Unfortunately, she won't see table and constructed because you have better call-ins for mind control, and I don't think you and she can't, if I recall correctly, or can she have? She doesn't have an ID card, right? I still
No,
have
she doesn't have an
no,
ID
she
card.
doesn't. So she could be an ID, but it's, even then she would have better. For sealed, it's okay because it's only 40 points. We don't have tons of outwit, and we know where they're coming from. I'm particularly not a big fan unless you have again a combo where she can be TK'd and properly placed. Because, for instance, if we look at the uncommon Cyclops, we just saw him. It's uncommon and it's easy to get. He's gonna kite her. Kite is an expression from the guys who played old school MMORPG, but he can run around her, sidestep around her, outrange her on the 7. So if you don't have a good setup to throw her in for the, make sure that you complete the swing for the mind control, Cyclops just gonna shoot her around the barrel. So, but it's okay. I would say it's a 5 for sealed because she has some flexibility, but no constructed whatsoever. So 1.
All right.
all right, on to the next one. Number 23, Magneto. Keywords: New Mutants and X-Men. Real name: Eric Lyncher. If I butcher it, I'm sorry, guys. Trait: Headmaster. New Mutants. Leadership. Period. Perplexed, but only to target another friendly character. The New Mutants keyword, just like one of the other ones. However, it does have more. During force construction, you may include one student ID card on your force without adding its cost. Um, 6 range starts off with Force Blast. First 3, last 2 nothing. First 3 attack. It's got TK. Last 2 nothing. First 3 clicks in for defense. It's got ESD. So 18, 17, 17. Um, at the end, it's got willpower. Then at the end for damage, nothing for the first 3. The last 2, outwit. New character or new player standpoint, yeah, new character. It's new to me because I'm still looking at the card for the very first time, so it is new. I'd probably have to say, it's easy to understand. I'll give this one maybe a 6.
All right. So uncommon Magneto. You know, it was interesting they gave him the New Mutants keyword. It's not one that I've actually remember seeing him have before. And then X Men. You know, I always love it when Magneto has the X Men keyword.
Yep.
Because why not?
You know, I pulled him in sealed, and it was really difficult to build a New Mutants keyword, and it was really disappointing. So I've kind of got a bad taste left in my mouth from him. No move and attack. He's got TK. He's got Inner Shield for 50 points. You know, unless you're actually running him on a New Mutants team, I don't think he's worth your time. Uh, he just kind of stood there and was like, "Look at me! I have 20 defense at range, 21 because I'm standing and hindering. I can't perplex anything, and I'm moving stuff around with my mind. I, I was really disappointed for Magneto. I'm gonna have to give him a 3.
Yep. And the people I can use leadership, I just TK'd away from me last round. So I agree with you. It's unfortunate. If the leadership was generic, maybe, because it's always good. It's too far to push for outwit. It's an expensive TK. It's a glorified TK at the end of the day. You have some survivability, but with 6 range, again, Cyclops can just stand a couple squares away from him and tear him down. Eventually, that 21 is going to go down, and it's going to be only 20 because he ignores hindering. So I agree with you. It shows a lot of promise, but when you bring it down, it's bad for sealed. It's bad for constructed. And as a call in for 10-3 damage on a 6 range, anyone out other call in can do it. So yeah, I would say it's both bad, unfortunately.
All right, up next. This is a much anticipated figure from the day it was previewed. Magneto, number 23B, Magneto Prime. Yet another version of white suited Magneto. This is the third that we've had in as many years or more. He is 75 points. Keywords Brotherhood of Mutants, Hellfire Club, New Mutants. Real name Eric Lensher. Trait Betraying the New Mutants and Xavier's Dream. Or am I?
Dun, dun, dun.
When Magneto attacks one or more characters with the New Mutants or X-Men keywords, modify attack and damage by +1. When he KOs an opposing character with the New Mutants or X-Men keywords, after resolutions, roll a d6. 1 through 3, deal him 1 unavoidable damage. His special defensive power he has on his last 2 clicks. Other friendly characters with the Hellfire Club keyword have free modify either attack by +2 or defense by +2 until your next turn, and his special damage power on his first 4 clicks. White King of the Hellfire Club, leadership. Other friendly characters with the Hellfire Club keyword have free modify attack by +1 or defense by +1 until your next turn. Sidestep, TK, flight, indom, toughness 18, defense 4 damage for 75 points. Sign me up, yes please. Drops into running shot, pulse wave, ESD 18 with 3 damage. Keeps that for a couple clicks, drops in a defensive point, and then goes into stealth and pensai with, super perplex for other friendly characters. Wow. George?
New player standpoint, that's quite a bit to kind of take in. I mean, yes, it is a prime. They'll probably like it, but new player standpoint, I might probably have to give this one a 4 because it's just so much words and just trying to figure out how to make the mechanics of it work. So I'd give it a 4.
All right. From a casual standpoint, Hellfire Club. You're running the theme here. Yeah, he's got New Mutants, he's got Brotherhood. You're going to focus on the Hellfire Club because that's really what's going on. And in casual, unless you're going up against another New Mutant or X-Men team, you don't have the negative. But if you're going up against them, you get the positives with a 50-50 shot at the negative. I would run him. 7 range. He has so much to offer. I'm going to give him a 9.
I was looking here into HAC Realms. He's amazing. I like him very much. He's a prime. He's built as a prime. Indomitable, sidestep, TK, leadership, pulse wave, 3 clicks. In a sealed scenario where you're going to face many X-Men, you have +1 to attack and damage. When he KO opposing character that has new chemo, he can he might take 1 unavoidable damage, but it really doesn't matter. You K'd someone on first click. Now you have pulse wave for 11-4, and even if you take another with 20 defense against range, even if you take another one, people say, "Oh, that might be a liability." It is, but if you're taking 2 or 3 unavoidable damage, that means that first you're rolling poorly, and second you're already killing half of your opponent's team. So that's a good problem to have, right? Problem to have is taking unavoidable damage without killing anyone. So I think he's super good, super strong in sealed. Unfortunately, my only criticism from a sealed perspective is that his synergies is Hellfire Club people. There's only 2 other people characters in the set, there are Hellfire Club, and one of them is a Prime, which is a White Queen. The other one is Emma Frost.
Yeah.
So you might be able to play with her, the super rare that's not Prime, but then again, her synergies is with Hellions, and he's not Hellions in any keyword. So, unfortunately, you're not gonna get the most out of the characters from a keyword perspective and synergy in the sealed. But he stands alone great on its own. So I think it's interesting. I think it's worth definitely for seal. For constructed though, he might be a good calling piece if you're not feeling your prime. For the moment, primes are good, so you're probably not going to waste your primes a lot with him for a call in. But after rotation, it's a definitely maybe. But I think he's strong on its own. So I would say a solid 8 uh, um, in sealed. He would be a definite 9 if you have more synergies with his powers with the rest of the set. But unfortunately, I think in that particular regard, with kids drop the ball because it would be cool to have at least it could be small guys, just to make the whole synergy cooler. But it's very strong. And in constructed, still strong because his numbers are great and his dial as well. Pulse wave is always great, but I would name maybe 6, 7. But it's hard to construct around him. And as a call him, it's still decent. 11 for 4 with sidestep and 7 range, not bad at all. Who's
Okay, Drew.
next?
You're up.
Me.
You.
There I go. So after Magneto, we have
Oh.
Leech. The first one in the series of anti-Pika powers. This guy, this small cool guy, has the keywords Generation X, Morlocks, Weapon X, and X Factor. His real name is Jimmy. He's 30 points. He has 0 range, but he has one trait that says Lockdown. Whenever an opposing character would use an effect that allow it to choose standard powers to use, you may first choose a standard power. This turn, that character can't choose that standard power that you chose. And he also has a special power on his damage, which is tiny, which is don't get too close. Outwit, period. Each time Leech uses it, if his target was within 4 squares, after resolutions, he can use Outwit again, targeting a character not already targeted by this Outwit this turn. And he can keep using it as long as he has different targets within the 4 squares. Well, George, no pineapples.
I was waiting. I had pineapple just sitting there waiting for it too.
You're holding the pineapple.
Yep. New player standpoint, I might just, go ahead with the 3, just because the trait alone for me is like a little confusing. So if they're say picking Penance, I can say, wait, you can't use that this turn. Is that correct?
No, you picked
No,
before
you
they
pick
picked.
for
I pick
yeah,
before
that would
they
be
pick.
even better. But you say you're gonna pick a power. Okay, pick anyone, but and then you say it.
Yeah, so I'm playing, the Jakeem, and he's got the entire PAC to pick from. He says, okay, I'm going to pick my powers. You say, wait, hold on. You can't pick this power. All right, now pick your powers.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go 3 just because that trait alone for me was just a little confusing.
For the casual player, big time anti pick a power. And like I said, I think pick a power is fun. And to make a figure that's just anti fun for the casual scene, you kind of pulling a full paw there. But the being able to outwit a bunch of people in similar to the way that Beast does, and everybody's able to carry him around. It says here each time he uses it after resolutions, he can use it again. So you could outwit a bunch of people, have one of your friendly pick him up and move him, and then he can outwit more people. And then you can have a friendly pick him up again and carry him over, and he can outwit more people. You basically have the opportunity to outwit their whole team if they're not hiding in stealth. And that's something that would be really great for casual.
Within 4 squares. Does it say line of fire? Or just
Yeah.
within 4 squares?
No, within 4 squares.
Well, he can use outwit if his target was within 4 squares.
Okay.
So they said was within 4 squares. His range is 0, so you do have 6 for outwit, but you want to be close. But they say was within 4 squares, which means they are anticipating you moving him to just kind of pack him around and get everybody. You could run him around with Hawkeye. I mean, you wouldn't be able to outwit in the middle of the the running shots, but you'd be able to move him at least from one side of the board to the other. Anyway, I'm going to give him a 6 just because of outweight utility in casual.
You lose a defense. You lose a defense. You lose a defense.
And the keywords: Generation X, Weapon X, X Factor, Morlocks. Going to be a lot of fun.
Well, this is really one of the first one of the prime stars here in the meta. There are many questions that you can ask to know if a piece is meta, and it definitely feels one, which is tests, which is if when you're building your team, you always make the question, what if my opponent brings X? If the piece has the name that feels X, it is meta. I'll give an example. I'm gonna bring Doomsday to the table, but wait, if my opponent brings Green Arrow is meta. Because you're gonna make this sentence every time. When Bizarro Green Arrow showed up in the scene, everybody say, "Oh, Nick is great. Many guys are great, but what if my opponents bring Bizarro Green Arrow?" So he's meta because people are playing around it. Leech is gonna be one of the figures that people will plan around. Every meta player likes to have flexibility. Every meta players like to pick his power because he can adapt quickly. And in the hands of the another skilled player know exactly what is the best power to be picked and saying you can't pick it is an amazing mind game, but it just adds a lot of stress and complication to the table. He's definitely meta. He's great in sealed because outwit in sealed is rare, and he's outwit for 30 points, so it's great. And he can do it more than once if your opponent don't play correctly or play too bunched up. You can just get there and outwit everybody. So he's great in sealed. I would give him an easy 8 in sealed, especially because there are some pickup powers here, which is going to be useful. Um, and in constructed as well, of course you're always going to have the meta and anti-meta discussion. Okay, so if everybody don't bring pick a power because everybody's afraid of Leech, maybe I don't need to bring Leech because the fear factor will have worked and I save 30 points, right? I mean, it's always a crazy. It's just like amazing George Masu when he let his Lex Luthor team rest for a little and say, okay, nobody plays Lex Luthor anymore. Then he shows up with a team and beats everybody. So it's going to be the discussion there. But he's amazing. I was definitely an 18 sealed and constructed as well, assuming you know your scene and you know that big pick-up powers pieces are going to be there. The advantage with Leech, and I don't want to advance the discussion, but the advantage with Leech that we might not see in other pick-up powers, and that's the reason why I'm rating him, if not the best anti-pick-up power, but one of the, is because outwit is always useful. So he's not a one-trick pony to full pick-up powers. You can still bring him in, even as an ID card, just to outwit everything. I'm not a big fan of IDs for setup. I already said that, but he's useful. He's not a one-trick pony. So that's why I think this value is that.
All right, so just a couple things I want to throw in. He does have an ID card, so you can add him to your team for 3 points or free if you have a headmaster, but he's only going to be effective for 1 turn. And BZ crunched the numbers on this when we first saw Leech previewed, as well as Darwin. There are approximately 75 figures in the current modern scene, not including Xavier's school, that would be affected by the pick a power verbiage. And this includes your vehicles, this includes your possessors, this includes anybody who says pick X power or X power, because they're still picking a standard power.
75 just in modern?
Yeah.
Not counting this Xavier
Not counting Xavier set.
Wow.
Approximately. So basically an entire set of figures is just afraid of Leech.
Jeez.
Yep.
Number 25, Mercury. Keywords, Hellions, X-Men. Real name, Cicely Kincaid. 3 range, 1 target. She's got a trait. First one time we've seen it for this set. For this, Hellions. When this character's attack roll is 10 or more, damage dealt by that attack is penetrating. Second trait, Ex-Student. We've already seen this one. When this character or adjacent friendly character's attack roll includes 1/5, modified 1 target's defense. It's pretty simple. Look at the back. You're looking at the card. You've got your plasticity for the whole dial. You got your persistent strike, first 2 blades, last 2 super senses all day. First 2 you got your shape change. Last 2 you got your exploit. So that blades exploit is going to be fantastic. To make it even sweeter, it's just that penetrating 10 or more. penetrating. So that just, either way, you can still make it penetrating. So that one, no, I'm not going to worry about language on that one, but yes.
Number.
Number.
What was your
I'm
number?
going to give that one a 7.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mercury, Hellions, X-Men, we do have some limited keywords here, but I am excited to see all the Hellions in the set played together. And of course, X-Men, we got a billion of them. She's gonna fit right in. I love the fact that she has shape change and super senses and plasticity, so you can run her up next to somebody, you can hold them down, they're gonna have a heck of a time hitting you while you sit there and poke them with precision strike. And then if they do hit you for anywhere from 2 to 3 damage, now you're just going to blades exploit them and make them regret it. So when George played her against me, I looked at her, just her top dial, and I was frightened. And she's only 35 points. This figure for casual is amazing. I'm going to give her an 8.
Just for fun, imagine hitting a crit hit with with blades, with exploit, rolling a 6. You got 7 damage right there. Penetrating.
Yep.
Well, you could use the
Well,
exploit
yeah, you
anyway.
can use
But
exploit anyway, but
Well, you said it. 35 points. She's an amazing tie-up piece, plasticity all around, shape change and super senses in the beginning. And if you don't kill her, she'll likely hurt you pretty bad. I like her a lot. I think she's great for sealed. If your opponent is not lucky enough or wise enough to get outwit and use it, you're gonna have fun. You're gonna have a lot of fun. She can even be perplexed. Emma Frost is there, but again, don't count on a super rare coming out on your shield. But it doesn't matter. You can push her. She can be damaged. She's gonna tie someone up, and if they don't have outwit, she's gonna be worth. She's gonna cause a lot more damage than the 35 points she's worth. So I'm giving her a 7. And if your opponent does not have outwit, an 18 sealed. But at 7, she's strong. It's worth it. Even if your opponent has outwit, is again, it's 35 points. He's gonna have to spend actions to get rid of. And even then, he's going to need more than one because shape change or super senses, if one stays, you're still bound to be lucky and get away unscathed. So, great tie up. Unfortunately, in constructed, again, not good for call in. It doesn't have a call in, but it wouldn't be good either way. You're going to have plenty of outwits there on the team, or even a pulse wave can get rid of her quickly. Still a great tie up, but I honestly don't expect to see her being played in constructor. Her best clicks are the last, which in competitive play is unreliable. So, I would love to give her more. She maybe a 4 because her dial is really cool and she's really good and synergic for what she's supposed to do and cheap, but it's not going to see table on constructed, unfortunately.
all right. So up next, Jubilee, number 26, Generation X X-Men. Real name, Jubilation Lee. She has the Gen X trait, which is power, move her up to 5 squares, make a close attack. And then her entire dial, she has special attack power, Energy Explosion. When Jubilee uses it and hits, modify all hit characters' attack and defense by -1 until your next turn. She does start with Running Shot, 10 attack, ESD drops into some Perplex, and then Stealth, 5 range, and 2 bolts for 50 points.
all right, new player standpoint, this energy explosion has, changed a little bit, but new they're not going to know. I'm going to give her a 3.
Okay. So, from a casual standpoint, and keep in mind she does have an ID card, I love this figure. Being able to running shot in and energy explode a group, reduce their defense and their attack for the follow up wave that comes afterward for a mere 50 points is huge. The fact that I can do it on an ID card call in and just soften up your whole team for the rest of my team to follow in, it's going to be gigantic for casual. So, I mean, and the fact that she also doubles as a close combat attacker, that you can move her 5 and punch, or you can running shot and shoot if they're stealthed up. I think this figure is absolutely amazing. I'm gonna give her an 8.
Okay, yeah. On my side, unfortunately, I have to be a little bit more strict. It's you're gonna have. We saw many better options at 50 points, for sealed. Again, her best damage is deprived by the fact that she has an amazing power in energy explosion. So you're giving up 3 damage, which is great in sealed for a power which is better. But again, could be on a second click only, and then you wouldn't have to suffer this conundrum. But 5 range, it's complicated. She's gonna do her trick, and then she'll likely be killed afterwards because she's gonna be too close to take the damage. I agree that as a call-in, she might see some tricks. It's a cheap option to cause some harm to your opponent's team. But to be honest, I think I would go for a 4 in sealed and even lower 3 or 2 in constructed because she's too fragile. She doesn't see through hindering. 10 is a low attack. It would require a lot of perplexes to her attack to then hit with energy explosion. And energy explosion in constructed, hopefully your guy's team will be protected from only taking 2 damage. They're gonna have decent reducers, so she might be a one-trick pony in sealed, but other than that, unfortunately, it's I don't see much future for her. It's a pity because I love the character very much. Okay, me.
You know,
Now
if
we're
I
gonna
may, I'd like to
sure,
go back and actually change my score to Jubilee, if I may.
sure,
Um, I like maybe just change it up to a 5.
All
cool.
right, errata, errata on the new
Errata,
guy.
Sorry,
great.
folks.
In the spirit of WizKids, I do also want to note that Leech has the Generation X keyword as well as Jubilee, so they're going to fit right perfect together.
Oh.
He's going to outwit a bunch of defenses, and she's going to energy explode.
Yep.
That goes right down that theme team rail for nice casual play.
Okie dokie. Yeah, definitely. So now Mr. Mondo. Mondo has the Brotherhood of Mutants, Brute, and Generation X keyword. His real name is unknown. He has improved move and ignores hindering terrain. He also has the trait of Generation X, which is the power and move up to 5 square to make a close attack. Um, Special movement power on the first 3 clicks. Free. If Mondo occupies printed hindering terrain, you may place him into a square of printed hindering terrain within 5 squares. Matter absorption. Special defense power on the first 3 clicks. Toughness. Invulnerability, but only if Mondo occupies hindering terrain. Impervious, but only if he is adjacent to a piece of blocking terrain. 70 points. Mr. George.
Looking at it, the improved movement for the hindering is always gonna be nice because give the chance to move through the hindering without having to have. Um, I'm gonna give this one a 6.
All right. From the casual standpoint, Brotherhood of Mutants, good to see another keyword in the set, but I mean, there's so far I counted what, maybe 3 or 4. You've got Magneto, Mystique, and Mondo, and the other iterations of Magneto. The Generation X trait is great for these close combat beaters because you basically got a 5 charge, and if you have somebody tiny, you can carry them, and it's not going to slow you down. But it's not really charged because it's just an attack, but it's still really good. Um, the special movement power he has, where if he occupies printed hindering terrain, you can place him into printed hindering terrain with 5 squares. He's got the Bamf ability. He just goes from here over to there, and so I mean he could potentially be moving 10 squares and then attacking somebody. And then, his amazing defensive powers and ignoring hindering for movement. He's got a lot that he's bringing to the table for 70 points. I'm going to have to give him a 7.
Okay, time to try to surprise you guys again. Um, okay, well, I think he's pretty decent for steel. First, because it's 70 points, it's not that much. He has 3 clicks of 3 damage. I've been saying 3 damage all night long, and it's true. 3 damage is hard. Super strength, it's not something to be forgotten. Knockback, plus 2 damage. 5 damage here can kill 75% of the pieces we reviewed to date, and he has 6 clicks. Um, you know, Now you want to see something funny? Um, he moves for free from every 5 squares of hindering terrain, and you only have to be within 5 squares. It doesn't say line of fire. Do you remember the layout of the WizKid's office and the fact that it has patches of hindering terrain, 5 squares from one
Wow.
another, all walled up from
Oh,
one side of the map to the other?
Jeez.
He's gonna get you. He's gonna get you. Give this guy a couple of perplexes. He's probably gonna alpha strike you for free on an 11 or 12 for 5 damage. So, and if it's all walled up, you can make sure that you stop by behind, adjacent to blocking terrain, which is planting the WizKid's office, and he's gonna have impervious. So I think it's gonna be great for Seal, especially if you can pick a map that favors him. His last clicks are not that bad. Quake might be situational, but Close Combat Expert does recoup his low attack. Worst case scenario, he can teleport phasing away if you have a healer in your team. And last click regeneration is always a gamble, but it's a good gamble. It's not a stop, so whatever you roll, you're healing. So I like him. I think if you can pick a map, you can even extract a 7, maybe a 8 of this guy. I'm gonna stick with 7 because of his flexibility. But in constructed, unfortunately, this is harder to pull off the shenanigans, and your opponent will find a way to deal with him. But in the right situation, if your opponent's unaware, you can actually get some neat surprise with this guy.
all right. Number 28, Penance, has the Generation X keyword, loners, and monster. I think this is the first time we've seen loners and monster in this set.
Yes, but that is the lone time that we've seen loners, at least as
Yeah, I
far
was
as I'm
about to
aware.
say that I haven't seen loners since I started. Granted, I started like almost 3 years only, so
That's about when the Kenny X-Men set came out. 'Cause I
Probably
think
a new keyword,
yeah.
loners.
nope, I
Latest
think
one was Avenger
the old
Assemble
long
with
shot had it.
Turbo.
But it's got the Generation X trait with the 5 squares, close attack, special attack ability, Diamond Hard and Razor Edge, Blades, Claws, Fangs, period. Penance may use it during close attacks instead of, capital word, close actions. This includes the Generation X trait. She's got 0 range, she's 75 points. For movement, she's got leap climb for days, has that special blades, her entire dial. First 2 clicks of defense, she's got invuln, then she drops down to toughness, and she's got battle fury for all day. You know, I'm liking this, the fact that, when she can move, can attack. So for a new player standpoint, I'm going to give her a 7. Oh, a real name, she's got Monet, Nicole, and Claudette St. Croix.
All right. So I do want to do a special call out here. The character was selected for Heroclix by Felix Hughes of the 2016 Heroclix UK National Champion.
Wow.
So thanks, Felix. This is actually, in my opinion, a really amazing figure. So face value, I don't normally like to see leap climb because it's just leap climb. But the fact that I can move up to 5 squares and make close attack basically means that I have diet charge. But wait, I can use blades, so I basically have charge my whole dial with Battle Fury, with 11 attack top dial for
and
75 points.
and printed 3 damage because now it matters.
Yeah, and so I mean a minimum of 2 on my
Yeah.
blades. This figure, I'm dying to use her, and the fact that you can run it in a Gen X team, which we've just seen Jubilee, and wasn't Mondo also Gen X? Yeah, Mondo and
Yes.
Leech. This team is just coming together.
There's already an ick factor in just these last few figures.
So just because she stands out above in the rest from the rest because she can use blades with Generation X, I'm gonna dare. I'm gonna give her a 9.
Do we know if there's an ID card while we're on it?
Not for Penance, no.
No, okay.
We I'm not sure because it's a no. We wouldn't get it. I was gonna say we might get one for M, but they don't do real names anymore, so they won't have her be Monet, and you can't use the real name to do it. So nope, you
Okay.
can't call in Penance.
Just curious.
Well, I like her. I agree. I agree. Especially for Seal, I think a great advantage for Seal is because how many times have we said the word shape change until now? Plenty, right?
A lot.
So I think that alone, knowing that you're always going to have a reliable source of canceling Shape change is amazing. I think that the move with the embedded the diet charge with blades, it's awesome. I think that she deserved for 75 points. I honestly think she deserved Indomitable. Right? I mean, it's worth. Her attack goes down already on the second click, and then 9 in the very end. So I think she deserves a little better. She has reducers all through and through, which is great for this set. Um, Especially like you said, if you're gonna try to find some synergies with Leech, you can outwit other people's outwit, so she's gonna be rough to kill. But other than that, that's the sole reason I think the lack of Indomida makes her a little bit of a 5 for sealed, because it's kind of neutral and a little bit dependent on what you're going to be using your Barrel Fury against. But like you said, she's not to be ignored because she can hurt a lot. In constructed, unfortunately, invulnerability is easy to deal with. She won't be able to, it's a short range for you to cover the gap, and therefore she's going to be easy to pick. And blades is great, but you have other options that are more destructive with their blades. But I think it's a neutral 5 for sealed, and unfortunately no competitive. But shout out to the UK champ, because she's an amazing sculpt and a great idea to be clixed.
And just real quick, we did some quick research. We've got 6 characters across all of Heroclix that have the loner's keyword. Penance, Turbo from Avengers Assemble, Guardians of the Galaxy, Darkhawk, Amazing Spider-Man Hobgoblin, Lightspeed from Secret Invasion, and Darkhawk from Avengers. So there is one modern loner. Good luck.
Hence why it's got the loner keyword.
Man, and
All right,
by the way, the
am I
Hobgoblin
up
with an
now?
amazing pulse wave.
The one last thing about Penance, she's begging, virtually begging for a blood axe.
Oh, big.
So up next we have Skin, Generation X, number 29. Real name Angelo Espinosa. He has a Gen X trait, which we've covered several times. Special movement power. I'm going to try my best here. Siempre en Alcanzar. How'd I do, Pedro?
Okay, quite decent.
So plasticity, giant reach 2, opposing characters within 2 squares in line of fire treat Skin as adjacent for movement. We've been seeing this a lot lately, this more reach plasticity. I'm wondering if they may just want to add to plasticity a number like giant reach. You could just say plasticity 1, plasticity 2,
Yeah, that would be
plasticity
awesome.
3, and just be like, hey, guess what? It's got a big old AoE on it, because it's showing up more and more because we want it. Where a lot
Yeah.
of people want to use it. 50 points, no range, but he does have that giant reach too. George?
New player standpoint, it looks like it's going to do overall really go. I mean, if you look at it, you've already had, what, 4 Gen X's in just about a row?
5.
5. So there's already a slight, theme going on there for a new player to have, multiple things to use. So I'm going to go ahead and just bump this one up to a 7.
7 for Skin, really? So when I look at Skin, I've been having a hard time because I get a lot of people who recommend him, and I always look at him and I go, why? As far as the giant reach thing goes, I turn to Leshina for 25 more points. It's just how I roll. In cap is not usually a power that I look for. Shape change is okay, but I mean, 50 points if he fits. Gen X. As far as the other characters are going, I'm not seeing him synergize extremely well with them. I mean, he may be able to lock them down, but he does basically have that 5 movement attack with giant reach 2, so that's 7 reach. I'm gonna give him a 6. I'm not clearly seeing what he can do, but I'm pretty sure he performs well on the field.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I think this whole plasticity range, it's kind of the reaction to, they toned down hypersonic, and now that the old plasticity doesn't cancel it completely, now you have to have a bigger range to effectively stop someone from getting you there, so that you can feel more maybe safer to do a charge only team and not rely heavily on ranged. But again, truth of the matter is we've seen many ranged guys here. The uncommon Cyclops just eat through this guy without any thoughts whatsoever, and the guy won't have the reach to get there and attack. You have to have the reach to get there and then type Cyclops down. But then, He probably was shot once, and if he got 4 or 5 damage, then this guy's done for. I agree. I have the same difficulty as you to see him being super effective. It's fun, but it's very situational depending on your opponent. And if you're gonna go for the meta scenario, you don't wish for your opponent to have the team that your team counter. You plan to have a team that counter or is good against most of the teams. So for 50 points, not even in sealed, I see this as very effective. So I'm gonna give it a 4 and no construction whatsoever because you named one of many that already have these mechanics and can do better. Plastic Man can do it better. Lashina can do it better, and with leadership. So and a lot and an amazing die with all sorts of damage and evasion. So yeah, not great.
Real fast, I forgot to mention, Skin does have an ID card, so you might be able to drop him in and lock some people down for a hot second.
Okay, so with now it's me with Surge. Surge has the New Mutant and the X-Men keywords. Her real name is Noriko Ashida. She has the X-Men team ability. She's 40 points. She's an ex-student as a trait. Attack roll with a exactly 1/5. Target defense goes down by 1. And the first 2 clicks, she has a special movement power, which is channel the energy or release the energy. At the beginning of her turn, you choose one: hypersonic speed, or she has a range value of 6. And when she hits, after resolutions, give all hit targets an action token. Surge can use the chosen effect this turn. With only one target, I don't know how what could be the all hit targets. I don't know what if a
Because
comboing it.
Storm can inspire 3 bolts,
Yeah,
and they
three
want to
bolts.
clarify
Yeah,
if you get an extra bolt, that it will affect all hit
yeah,
targets.
you should
Just real
benefit
fast,
from it, right? Cool. So George, before I get a pineapple.
Darn, he's catching on. Um, the last part of her movement ability, as you guys were trying to clarify, I was sitting here trying to read over it and not making heads or tails of it. I'd probably have to give it a 3, just because of that last half of the trait.
just because of the confusion
The
overall.
confusion on that one.
So incredibly short dial, but New Mutants X-Men, good keywords, has the X-Student trait that could come in handy. But at the beginning of your turn, you do have to choose Hypersonic or a range value of 3 and giving action tokens. Now, this is convenient because if you're doing, fighting a Darwin or a Leech, you can just pick the other one because it's not a standard power. She could get 6 range and gives action tokens after the hit, and she's not picking a standard power, so you wouldn't set off that effect, as far as I would know. But incredibly short dial for 40 points, and if you can't use the hypersonic speed, you're not getting what she's worth. Um, I'm gonna have to settle right at a 5. She has potential, but there's stuff that can really shut her down quickly.
Yep,
Pedro?
I agree with you. 40 points for hypersonic, 10 damage and 10 attack and 3 damage with willpower, so you can do it again. It's okay. If you don't have any attackers, if all your team is just a bunch of secondary attacks because you didn't pull great, she might see some action. But unfortunately with 9, and 9, it's if it were an 11 or 12 like you usually have your hypersonic people, um, I would give her a better score here because the Rangers are also not that great. Jubilee is 5. You saw a couple of 4s. Only the main guys like Jean Grey and Cyclops have a 7 or 8. So she could do away with a longer hypersonic speed. But since it's only 9 and she has no reducers, granted she's 40 points. The willpower helps a lot in my view because we might preserve the click a little longer. I would give it a 5 because it's very situational and sealed, but that's it. And you're not gonna see much of her again, ever in competitive.
All right.
All right, number 31. Oh, yeah. All new X-Men, real name, Kitty. You want to try and take a stab at the last name?
Okonkwo?
Oko.
I think it's
Okonkwo.
Okonkwo.
Okonkwo. There you
Yeah.
go. Well done, Pedro.
Thank you. Improved targeting, can shoot out of base contact, has the X-Student trait, Conover, Special attack ability that she has, her Untitled Dial, is Heat Transfer. When Oya hits two characters with a range attack, after resolutions, deal one penetrating damage to one and give the other an action token. Sidestep first three clicks, no movement after that. Special attack ability, Untitled Dial. Barrier first two clicks, last three, ESD. Threes and twos for damage. X-Men team ability, 6 range, 2 targets, 60 points. You know, new students, or a new player standpoint, I'd almost give this probably a 6. Just because they might not quite fully understand the shooting out of base contact and how to maybe divvy up part of her attack ability.
Okay. As far as the casual scene, all new X Men, it's interesting to see all new X-Men on her. Because I'm used to just the five, the time locks ones and X-23, but the fact that she knew how to shoot out of base contact or has pass, improved targeting, is really amazing. And the fact so she can just target two characters at any time. She's got 3 damage, so I can give 3 into penetrating for 4, and then give somebody else an action token, or divvy that up however I need to. Sidestep 6, so that gives her an effective 8 range. Barrier, defensively, 60 points with X-Men team ability. I'm going to give her a 7. I could really see her being a lot of fun in a casual game.
Yeah, I think that in sealed, if you get unlucky and you don't have a straight out team and you're fishing for pieces, you might extract some value out of her because barrier is good for defense. If people get close, you're not hampering her because, like you perfectly mentioned, she can still shoot out of adjacent, so she always can produce her effect if you have two characters within her line of. I would even say range because you can shoot from base, but within range and line of fire, she'll make good use of it and gain tempo and do some decent damage. 3+1 penetrating in this particular set is almost 4 most of the time. So I don't think you're gonna pick her immediately and say, "Great, I'm gonna build a team around her." But if you have that 60 point, you weren't very lucky in sealed, she'll definitely not do bad for what she's bringing. It's not a first option, but it's a definitely gap cover. So I'll give her a 6 in sealed. Unfortunately, you have better barrier, you have cheaper and better barriers, and you also have better incapacitators or penetrating damage dealing people in constructed. So unfortunately, I don't see her on the constructed table, anytime soon.
All right. The last one of our uncommon run today, Kitty Pryde, all new X Men. Now, the fact that she's got all new X-Men and we had all these other all new X-Men really brings it together for me. And she's number 32, real name Kitty Pryde. She does have an ID card. She is the alias on Sprite, so you can call her in. She does have Headmaster, all new X-Men. Leadership Perplex, but only target another friendly character with the all new X-Men or X-Men keywords. So she gets the Headmaster for both of them, and she gets a free student ID, which is funny because you basically bring herself in to, yeah. And then her movement power, special movement power for her first 3 clicks, quick through here, phasing teleport, stealth. Friendly characters can move through walls adjacent to Kitty Pryde. This is great. We have a very strong barrier meta here in the Utah scene, and I am so sick and tired of seeing that WizKid's office being able to just open up a wall and pass through. She's got Precision Strike for first 3 clicks, Super Senses, and of course with Stealth, and then Phase Teleport, Willpower, and Exploit Weakness, all for 50 points with the X-Men team ability.
Oh, wow. Let's see. New player standpoint, fairly simple to understand. I'd give her a 5.
5? Mm-hmm. So, as much as I am excited for this passing through walls, it does actually seem very situational. But everything else she has, if you're running a theme team for all new X-Men or X-Men, and you've got a couple of decent student ID cards you might want to select from, for 50 points, she's absolutely amazing. I'm going to go all the way up to an 8 with her.
Yep, I think that for Seal she's decent because all new X-Men or X-Men keywords are not that complicated to get in a Sealed for this set. So leadership in Perplex for 50 points are already decent. 18 super senses is great. 10 precision strike with 2 it's okay. It's not amazing, but on her last click she becomes really mean. And I agree with you. It's situational, but eventually if you have someone with barrier, your team can push through. So I like her. In Sealed, I would give her a 6. But in constructed, it's you have better ways to deal with barrier. It's not bad, but you might see her appearing for as a cheap option to go through barriers. But again, it goes back to my comment that I'm not a particular big fan to call in to help solve something. I would rather call a Hulk at 100 points and just blast through the wall and do 12 for 4 or 12 for 5 and be done with it. But at 50 points, if you're making a smaller team like a Shredder's team that you don't have high point calling people, you might do just the trick that you need to sidestep in through the barrier and get it through. But I wouldn't rate her very high in constructed at all. Maybe a 3. But for the sealed, she can be a 6 because leadership and perplex for 50 points are almost worth it on its own.
All right. Well, that wraps up the uncommons from the X-Men Xavier School. Hope you all have found this very informative. Unfortunately, these seem to be going a little bit longer, but we are trying to make sure we're reaching out to everybody in the Heroclix audience with different perspectives. Please let us know how this is going, and like, comment, subscribe, and remember, strike first.
And strike hard.